lyrics are about, but I like the way it feels. And I'm in my feelings tonight. So I'm here to talk about anxiety. Did a lot of sessions today. And everywhere I look, in my work, in my conversations with friends and colleagues, in the world at large, everyone feels the uncertainty of these times. And when we feel uncertain, it creates a very specific emotional energy. So I want to talk to you tonight about those emotional energetics. And the result of living in an uncertain world are things like stress, anxiety, fear, overwhelm, all the way up to kind of feeling emotionally paralyzed. So these times are absolutely complex, and there's plenty of pain to go around. I would imagine that you feel that too. It turns out that oddly enough, I find neuroscience to be like a salve to people's weary souls. And I want to offer you some of that wisdom. I offer it in a way I'm consistently humbled by my work, and I am consistently humbled by the power and the mystery of the brain. So there is so much of the brain that remains unknown and mysterious, but thanks to modern advances in neuroscience and psychology, there's a lot that we know about the brain. So there's a lot that's knowable about the brain and our behavior. There's a lot that's very straightforward, and most importantly of all, is there's a lot about the brain that's quite predictable, okay? And the reason that I think that neuroscience, understanding how we are wired, offers such power is because when you understand the parameters of this magnificent machine, it allows you to operate your machinery to live in emotional alignment with the way that your body, your brain-body connection is actually engineered to go. So you are going to drive with the full power of this machine. Now, as much as I love the vibe of the song, it's a little loud for me, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. It turns out that, so I have this belief, and the belief is that I think that everyone inside of them has what I kind of consider a piece of wisdom that is a part of the larger cosmic puzzle. Like we all have a truth inside of us that is kind of the sacred message that we're on this planet to deliver. So kind of just a thing I think about a lot. And I think this thing is, our purpose, or the thing that we all want to, that's why people talk about purpose so much, want to be shouting from the rooftops. So the one thing that I don't know exactly why, I have a lot of conjecture, but I'll save that TED Talk for another day, that I really clearly see is why and how people get stuck in these chronic patterns of emotional pain. And these chronic patterns of emotional pain have everything to do with uncertainty, and specifically the relationship that your brain has with uncertainty. So we spend most of our lives fretting over not what is certain, but what is uncertain. So if you're really honest about where pain in your life comes from, pain does not come from the certain things in your life. Pain comes from the uncertain things. The thing that kind of takes my breath away is that we are, through some kind of cosmic scientific miracle, on this planet for the smallest, holiest splinter of time. And we kind of intuitively, unconsciously understand that we only have a very certain amount of holy energy. And we don't spend that holy energy trying to solve for known variables in our life, right? We don't waste our energy like that. But we spend a lot of our energy trying to solve the unknowables in our life. Now, in some circumstances, this is adaptive and this is good and this is helpful. But in many, many other circumstances, this hemorrhaging of our holy energy, our holy fire, it puts us in positions of pain and it depletes us, okay? And tell me if this resonates with you. So I think a lot of us have said, like, I know that this is going to be bad, but I just want to get it over with. Or I know this is really gonna hurt, but just like rip the Band-Aid off. Or like, I don't really know that I wanna do this, so I'm gonna either plunge in or I'm gonna totally avoid it. So when we're kind of in that purgatory, it becomes very uncomfortable all the way up to painful for us. Now, this kind of scenario that you might have experienced in your life is something that we can mimic in the lab all the time. So when we look at how people behave in conditions of uncertainty all the time, and what neuroscientific and psychological studies show us is that if you put people in a lab and you give them a condition of certainty and a condition of uncertainty, they will behave in ways that are kind of classically called irrational. So for example, if you take somebody and you say, okay, we're gonna put you in a paradigm and the computer's gonna count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 100% of the time, when the computer gets to 1, you're gonna get a shock. Now we had these electrical shock machines in our lab, and I can assure you that it was not a pleasant experience. Or there's another condition where the computer will count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you may or you may not get a shock. So the rational actor should choose to be in the condition where maybe half the time you get off scot-free. There's no pain, there's no shock. But what people choose is they choose the certain condition even though it guarantees physical pain. Now there has been a lot written about this idea of like how rational human beings are or human beings aren't, and I think that human beings are perfectly rational. And I think it's only people who call that type of behavior irrational who are being irrational. What do I mean by this? I mean that the brain is going to do what the brain is going to do. So if I always have these like Nerf darts, my kid turns everything into a ballistic. I don't throw the ball up and then get frustrated or irritated or think gravity is being irrational. It just is. The brain is always going to operate the way the brain is going to operate under certain conditions of uncertainty. And the more that we work within the parameters of the brain that we have been given, the more we can come into full alignment with our power. The magic sauce here is trying to understand the parameters of your brain and to understand precisely how your brain derives power. And even more specifically, how to work well, how to work wisely with these currents of emotional energy. The truth about life, I mean, there's very few things that are unequivocally true. One of the things that is unequivocally true is that the future is uncertain. By definition of what the future means, it means it is currently unknowable. So uncertainty is a life force like gravity, like breathing, like dying. It just is. And so the question isn't how should I fight uncertainty? How should I try to crush it and diminish it and suffocate it out of my life? Because the irony of that is you just suffocate yourself. The better posture, the emotional, the person with the emotional constitution, I call it a very strong inner authority, is the person who knows how to work with that electrical current in a way that transfers the electricity through them and moves it back into the ground and back into the universe. So you can think of it like a lightning rod on a building, right? The lightning rod is there so it can conduct the energy and not burn the building. So if you understand how to hold your emotional posture, even when things are uncertain, you can move with magnificent power. So in the next couple of videos, I'm going to talk about different ways your brain derives power and how you can anchor yourself with possibility, with peace and potential by paying attention to how you are actually wired to work.